Hello, Steve 89. Well, I just watched Blonde. I put it off for a day or two because I wanted the time to watch it properly. It goes for 2 hours and 46 minutes, and I knew it would be something I had to give my full attention to. Um, it is brilliant. It is a work of art. It takes its time. It it's hard to describe. It's not like any other biography that we've seen of Marilyn before. It's kind of the shining of Marilyn biographies. It's kind of has a chilling quality to it. It has moments of horror. It had moments that were worthy of Lynch, and it reminded me of Kubrick at times. The sound design, I think Nick Cave actually was involved in the sound. I mean, I don't know if it was the Nick Cave, but I saw in the titles, the credits said Nick Cave. It is surreal at times. It's interesting. It's based on the fictional novel by Joyce Carol Oates, Blonde, which I haven't read, but I watched the original because it was done as a miniseries years ago. It was filmed in Australia with Poppy Montgomery, an Australian actress, and Kirstie Alley as her mother. Or was it her auntie? Either way, she was in it. It was very average. It was very much TV movie miniseries. Nothing like this. This is a cinematic event. I will forever regret not seeing this on the big screen. I don't know if it's being shown anywhere, but this film deserves to be seen on the big screen. It is cinematic. It is beautiful. I won't quite say it's epic, but it is grand in scale. There are some shots. There's a shot where they show Marilyn on the grate in the 7-Year Itch filming the skirt blowing scene, and they show it from above and they pan out of the crowd of the photographers and the people. It's amazing. They recreate things so accurate with so much detail, yet they also, parts of it are so abstract and vague, and it's very contradictory and contrasting, and it's really fascinating. The story itself, when Marilyn was found, her body was found, they found a little toy tiger on her lawn, and no one really knew what that was about. Joyce seemed to want to explain that, and she explained it by, like, this is fiction, but it's extrapolated from real life. She had a relationship with both, separately apparently, it seems, with both Charlie Chaplin Jr. and Edward G. Robinson Jr., I think that was his name. Apparently she met one through the other, but they weren't actually in a throuple like in the film. So there are things that obviously it's not supposed to be exactly, the real story. It is fiction. But I wasn't going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to say, basically, they had a relationship. She got pregnant. She was going to keep it, but she was afraid that she was mentally ill like her mother, who was at that time in an institution and barely able to even talk to her. And she was afraid that she would be passing it on to her child. And also her career was calling. They had Gentlemen Prefer Blondes for her, and she decided to have an abortion. And my video will not be shown anywhere now. Because I use that word. And apparently that ended the relationship with the boys, and one of them, I think Cass, started writing letters to her pretending to be her father and fooling her into thinking that her father wanted to meet her. And then upon his death, Eddie sends the tiger to her, which she found on the street, and it was like one she had as a child. He sent that to her with the note saying there was no tearful father. Love crossed out Cass. So that was their revenge on her for ending the pregnancy and I guess abandoning them, but and she gets that, and that's when she spirals out of control and takes too many pills and accidentally dies. Although the depiction is differently, she does have the phone, but she's lying on her back, and her dog's with her, and it's during the day, and you see her wake up, a dual image of her. She wakes up and hugs the pillow and recreates one of the images that are of her that was done in a photo shoot, where the guy was above the mattress, above her, on a bed on a mattress, taking photos of her just in sheets, holding a pillow on that. And so it's a sort of surreal ending, and that seems to be, for the most part, it's so much to cover. For the most part, there are a lot of things that are depicted that were rumoured, or if they weren't exactly recreating something, they were depicting something that did happen to Marilyn. There is the legend of the white bearskin rug that she apparently bled on after being essayed by Mr. Zanuck, Mr. Z, as he's referred to in this film. The only thing I didn't think worked was the depiction of JFK. They started to go a bit off the rails at that point. This is about 20 minutes before the end. They show her drugged and out of it, being sort of practically carried into the White House, past just throngs of people, Jackie sitting on a couch crying, and then she has oral sex with him while he's on the phone to, I think, a reporter criticising him for allegedly having affairs with women, and you hear her mental her conversation with herself. Don't gag, don't throw up in this bed, you have to swallow, all this sort of stuff. It's grotesque. It's people who love Marilyn, who are protective, don't want to see her depicted in certain ways, and this film does that at times. But we also need to, I think, accept that she was a real person, and she did have a lot of horrible experiences, and she did do some things that we wouldn't want to see her do, and it's all a bit surreal, and it's not entirely believable, and it is sort of like a dream. And then afterwards she another part that doesn't really work, but it's scary. She's in her apartment, in her house alone, and you see through night vision she's waking up, and you actually see there's people in her house, and she hides in her bed, and she's grabbed, and she's given a forced abortion because she is allegedly pregnant with JFK's child. Sorry, there is actually a woman who claims to be their child, and that's scary. And the night vision kind of breaks the illusion of the era aesthetically. But so there are a couple little things in this 2-hour 46-minute film that don't entirely work, but there are a lot of things that do it. The cinematography, the way it's designed and staged, it is beautiful, it is stunning, it is surreal. You just watch some of these scenes and some of these things unfold, and they have Adrian Brody as Arthur Miller. He's not 100% convincing as Arthur Miller, but he's got a lot of elements of him down, far more than some of the other people who've depicted him. Same thing with Joe DiMaggio. They've been very kind to him. They've never cast an actor who looked like him because he wasn't a very attractive man. God, what was I going to say? It's a bit overwhelming. It really focuses on what she experienced, how she felt. She was very much used and abused by people in Hollywood. She was kind of lost in that. She didn't really want to be a part of it at one point, but, for example, Arthur Miller made her go back to work when she was pregnant because they needed the money. She lost the child. So things like that are depicted on some level. There are some very surreal moments. There's a moment where she comes home. This is after she's had the miscarriage, and she's on drugs, and Arthur opens the door and his face isn't there. It's like blurred out and scratched out, and she asks who he is, and he says, "It's your husband, Arthur," and she just walks in, and it's there are moments like that really play in a really chilling, surreal sort of way. It's like she is in this warped world. Yeah, I just think it's really brilliant, and I just really regret that I didn't see it on the big screen. It really deserves to be looked at cinematically. I had to stop several times because I really need to concentrate on it and focus on it, and I'm going to keep this review to 10 minutes because I can't cover all of it, so I'm just going to give a brief idea of what I thought of it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. It's brilliant. See it. Don't believe the haters. There are a lot of people trashing it. I don't know why. I'm going to go watch everyone else's reviews, and maybe I'll have a perspective of people's perception of it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I tried to keep it to 10 minutes, but there's a couple of things I really want to mention. One of the things that was also interesting was the way that, for the most part, it was filmed in 4:3. It was in widescreen. There were moments. There's a moment where after she has the miscarriage, suddenly a bunch of reporters just flood in and push Arthur out, and that is in widescreen when you see her sort of pushing through the crowd and being dragged through the crowd by the security guys. When she has both the abortions that are depicted, and you do see the baby inside the womb, you actually have a shot inside Marilyn's vagina of the forceps coming in and opening her vagina up, and you actually see light coming in from the outside, and her doctor and the JFK doctor and everything. It's very extreme. It's some of it, but not what I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be some violent sexual assaults. There weren't. Those are all handled sort of skillfully. The scene where she's performing oral sex on JFK, she's using her hands and her mouth, and there are moments where you think you see, but you don't. It's her hand up against her lips. It's some of it is very confronting, partly because of how we see Marilyn and how we want her to be depicted. And those were just some of the things where I'm just like, this director, this writer, because it was written and directed by the same guy. I've forgotten his name. I screen captured the credit, but I have no idea where I put it. And he definitely had a vision for what he wanted this film to be. And he seems to have stuck true to it. And this is what happens when you allow someone with a vision to be able to be totally in charge. There's no limitations. That they didn't. This film didn't have to be an hour, 20 minutes, or 3 hours, or it just is done as it was meant to be. It's a work of art. I think it's brilliant, and it's fascinating. People will be analysing this for years to come. I almost wish he'd tried to do her real story. There's a freedom in the fiction because you can go anywhere and you can depict things that you believe happened or want to show, but didn't necessarily happen. But I would love to see him I would love this to have been an actual real biography of her at the same time as I'm sort of amazed by where they were able to go with the fiction of it. I don't know what else to say. I feel like I have more to say, but there's too much. I can't go through every scene. I can't go through all of it. I think I am going to leave it there. There's just a couple little things that I missed. I had to go back to. But yeah, it's extreme in some parts. It's surreal in some parts. It's beautiful in some parts. It's very sweet and charming in some parts. Like I said, there were moments where I felt like this could have been directed by David Lynch. There are those moments. And then there are a few moments of horror, just a few ones here and there. The anger was probably one of the other surprising things about it, seeing Marilyn angry, enraged when she is disrespected by her directors and so forth. And there's a moment where she's in acting class and she's obviously been told to get in touch with some emotion, and she's just screaming with rage. And they asked her what was she thinking of. She said, "I wasn't thinking, I was just feeling. was remembering. Anna de Armas, I think her name is. Her depiction of Marilyn was brilliant. There were moments where I forgot I was watching an actress. I felt like I was watching Marilyn. She totally committed to it. She did full nudity. It's not gratuitous. It's disturbing when she wakes up after one of the abortion of the JFK child. She's covered in blood. It's very full on. It's like I said, it's too much to cover, even in 15 minutes. But I just needed to share my experience of this film. I love it. It's brilliant. I can't wait to own it on Blu-ray. I will watch it many times. I am a huge Marilyn fan. I've got most of the films made about her. I don't think I've got all of them, but I've got most of them. And they are all interesting, but this is probably the most interesting and the most probably artistic, creative depiction of Marilyn and the horrors of Hollywood. And it's brilliant. I'm going to try and leave it there again. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this. I want to know what people think of this. And like I said, I'm going to go listen to the other reviews from people, especially the people who hate it, who have issues. We'll see what their issues are. I think some people are, they've got political reasons to have issues with this film as usual. It's a work of art. It's brilliant. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to go.